Hello, I'm Brian Adams, and this is the operation of Oliver. Let's take a look. So now what I want to do is start working on my leg. So I have about a 4.5 inch distance, so I'm going to make my legs 4 inches here. Yours will vary, and that's from side to side. I'll show you the pattern in just a second. Alright, here's my pattern for my upper leg. Basically what I'm going to do, I want to make it so that it can move outwards, so it has a round, very round top. And I cut 2 more, and now I have, and now I've put in 4 pieces together, as you can see, for the upper part of the leg. You can actually see where I put the little ribbon here to hold the one piece on this side to hold cylinders that I've made for the legs. You can see them up against the torso. This is looking forward. I'm going to actually tape off the lower part of the leg about 1/4 of an inch. There you go. Now you can see more of the tapering. I just cut off the edges. So I'm going to take this 1 inch strip of watercolor paper, and I'm going to cut it in half for 2 1/2 inches, and then I'm going to take this watercolor paper and I'm going to glue it up here so I can pour fiberglass resin and make this strong. This is going to be the part that fits to the torso. Okay, now they both have fiberglass resin on them. And now I'm putting strips of paper onto the legs. I literally take the glue with my thumb, make it go back and forth across the length of the paper, and I'll stick it right next to the other paper that's on there. Make sure the two connect because you don't want the fiberglass resin to be pouring between the two. Okay, now that those are covered, what I did is, you'll see on this paper here, see how this is a little bit over. You always want to leave that. You don't need to cut that off. And I'm still doing work with the arms. As you can see, one side is darker than the other. I've put the final coat of epoxy on it. This side here is sanded smooth. I have fiberglass on the inside here, and I have fiberglass on the outside of both of these. This is a 1/4 inch, and this is a 5/16 inch bolt. This is 4 inches long. Actually, I wanted about 3.5 inches. They didn't have the size that I wanted, so I'm going to have to cut it down a little bit. But basically what I'm doing is, this is a bolt with 3 nuts on it. Basically what I'm going to do is, the way it fit in the arm, what I'm going to do is take this bolt, and it's basically going to have a washer. So this is going to be the end of it. This is going to be right up against this washer. This part is going to go inside. Inside, this is going to be the actual part that moves back and forth. This is another washer, so I'm going to put another nut here, and then it's going to go right up against the other washer. And go right like this, and then this part here is going to be the other end of the mechanism. I kind of wanted to show this to you. I had a question that somebody asked about what do I use when I'm fiberglassing, and what I'm using when I epoxy. I'm using teriyaki sticks. Believe it or not, this is one. That's with the fiberglass being smeared around. I'll smear it over the areas. A lot of times I'll actually use my fingers. Yes, I use my fingers, and clean them up and make sure that your hands are clean so you don't get it in your eyes or mouth or anywhere else. One of the other things I wanted to bring up is when you put the fiberglass in here, you're basically going to build that up to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. By building it up, it's going to make it more rigid and be able to hold. Okay, now you can see that I've drilled 2 little holes, and I've actually put the bolts onto the leg. This is the back side. What I did, I used little copper wire that, oh my god, about 1/16 of an inch thick that I used to hold the bolts in place. And then what I'm going to do is put tape over the top part of them, and then I'm going to put fiberglass resin to lock them down. Okay, so here's the part that we took out. We want to save this part because, okay, so here's the part I was talking about. There's the watercolor paper. I drew it out, the width and the height, and now I'm going to cut this out. And this is going to be my part. I'm going to make 2 of these. That's going to go inside. Okay, so once you have this, you're going to start cutting out little holes like this so that this part can fit in. So it has to go up against the wall of the back and on the floor of this. And as long as this can move freely back and forth, that's what you want. But before you put this in, you're going to take this, and you might have to make little notches. Little notches out here for the top for it to fit, because you have this extra paper here. So once that fits in correctly, what you're going to do is take this piece, I could put fiberglass resin on the back part of it, and then when it gets close to drying, then I'm going to take that and put it right on there so the fiberglass resin sticks to this piece of metal. You may encounter this. Fiberglass is a wonderful thing. It does heat up when it is drying. I put 2 clamps on both of my openings there, as you can see, one plate to the other, and the clamps are holding the wall from bowing out. The heat is making the opening there bow out further than I want. So what I'm doing is I put the clamps on there to hold them in place, and then I'll leave them on until I start putting more watercolor paper on and start fiberglassing it, and then I'll remove the clamps. That way it keeps it in the shape that I want it. The paper was added strip by strip, glued on, then fiberglass was put on, and then the clamp was removed. This is the opposite side. I put epoxy over the copper wires that I have holding the bolt down. Although it is fiberglass, it's just for added precaution. And now we're going to close up this side of the top part of the legs. Little 1/4 of an inch paper around the edge there. We're just going to put a little bit of fiberglass resin just around, just up against the edge on both sides, on both of these, and that's all. We're actually going to make a piece that fits in the way I did the arms. That will fit in here. Would be about, for mine, would be about 2.5 inches. So I'm basically taking this cap. This is 2 1/4, is close enough to 2 1/2. Basically going to draw the outline of this and go ahead with the whole circle. And I'm actually going to draw a line with straight down. And there we go. I took this 1/16 of an inch metal steel rod, cut them down with cut these at 4 inches because the metal rod was 36 inches long. I just needed it to be long enough to be able to fit and keep it straight. I don't want it to be too thick, so I'm putting these on. I'm going to tack on with glue, hold them in place where I want them to be, and then I'm going to pour some fiberglass resin in this area and on both of them. And hey, if you like what you saw today, don't forget to subscribe and leave comments and hit the thumbs up button.